Well, Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to Double Talk. I'm Mark Steffen.
I'm Michael Mandel. We've made it back through New Year's, and we're starting another year. Probably our 6th or 8th, or I don't remember, but we've been here for ages.
We made it back home after the holidays.
Look at what the weather's like outside. It's still nice.
It's
a few
beautiful.
clouds. The palm tree is slowly waving in the breeze.
Yes, and the
What else is
waves
going
are
on? You
lapping
can't see
the
that
shore.
lapping the shore. Yes, but we're still here. Our baby grew up. Last show we had that 13-month-old baby, just the prime age to be the child of the new year.
New Year baby.
Because when they're 0, they can't stand up.
Yeah, so welcome to the new show. It's a new year, and there's been new things happening.
Well, yes.
That we have to deal with this year.
You know, people were talking about was 2013 a bad year or a good year? I mean, the number 13 people are superstitious about.
Well, that's
so they say
nonsense.
It's bad, but many good things happen. And,
Like any year, good and bad.
Yes. What happened good?
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Well, you had a good year. You know, you make it through a year, it's good.
Yeah, any year you make it through is a good year, I'd
Yes.
say. Well, one of the new things we have here in New Mexico and 17 other states is gay marriage. It's legal
Yes.
within the boundaries of New Mexico. I think it's a good thing.
Yes. Hooray. So does the person who put the 2014 thing, celebrating it. Yes, New Mexico was in the forefront of the news because one of our county clerks allowed, that's not bad.
The Doñana County clerk
Yes, Lynn Ellens.
got the ball rolling in Mexico.
And you know, I saw Billy Garrett this week and
County
council commissioner and complimented him on he maneuvered things such that these things would be possible, and he did a great job at running council meetings, did not force anybody's hand, did not force things down people's throat, let a natural effect take place, and thus
People can now get married. But
Yes.
I noticed in the Sun News, people writing into the sound off and writing into the
Yes.
letters, how disgusted they were by photographs the Sun News showed of married women, lesbian ladies, kissing each other after they were pronounced
man and wife.
man and wife.
Wife and wife. Spouse and spouse.
Spouse
We're not
and
going
spouse.
spouse and spouse.
So
Yes.
pictures of people expressing love and affection,
Is taboo,
like you
verboten.
saw, like right there.
That's it.
People said,
That's subliminal
how am
there.
I supposed to explain this to my children? Well, that's your job as a parent.
Not only that, are you going to go into the letter to the editor? Well, letters to the editor too. But one guy recently wrote in talking about you have to explain love between people, but what about when you see all the devastation and bombs?
War, violence, murder, that's okay
The
apparently on the front
Boston
page.
bombing,
the
that's
pictures of
okay.
love, we can't
don't
have.
want to see that. But that's the way it is.
Right.
You
Now-
should appreciate this.
Now also,
Gay marriage.
gay
Yes.
marriage among Navajos is prohibited. In the Dine Marriage Act, it is
Could you spell that?
marriage,
Oh,
D-I-N-E, Dine is the Navajo
like
word
dying.
for Navajo. And
Self-referential, right?
And so the Dine Marriage Act states that marriage is between a man and a woman, period. So they now have to grapple with the rest of 21st century laws to
On
figure
the
out
other hand,
what they're going to do.
They are not necessarily part of any state. They belong
They're a
to
sovereign nation.
They're a sovereign nation run by the federal, overseen by the federal government. So they can make up their own laws.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to say anything, but, wow. How come we don't have a picture of her kissing? Maybe she is. She's kissing America. The Native Americans have retained their primitive type. They want to keep their primitive culture. So in a way, we're saying that being intolerant of gayness is a primitive impulse,
Well, I
not
don't
a
know.
cultured impulse.
They can do that, but what if their bylaws also stated that slavery was allowed? Now, would they still be allowed to practice slavery?
Or smoking marijuana.
Well, they're
Yes.
allowed to use certain drugs with their
They
rituals,
are.
like peyote.
Yes. But yes, we know there are gay Navajos. I mean, I know some. So, I mean, we know that it occurs naturally. It's not something that they decide, I'm just doing it to piss off my parents or piss off the church.
Yeah, it's
or
not a lifestyle choice. You're
piss
born
off
that
the
way.
Dines or whatever. So it's good. One of the new things this year, speaking of gay marriage, is this thing, heterosexual marriage. Have you heard of this?
Are they still doing that?
Well, they are, because good friends of ours, Dave Edwards and
Cindy
Merle, got married on New Year's Eve. What?
Yeah, they tied the knot.
And they've been going together for 15 years at least, I think. Do we know how long?
They met together on a play that Richie Applebaum was directing.
Really?
So it's been at least 10 years.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It hasn't been around for a while. So they got married.
Congratulations.
I guess it's okay. Brandon Brown was the officiate there, even though I think Bob Divin joined in. But Bob Divin is
He didn't join in. He was just there as a witness.
Yeah, but he's done so many marriages, he didn't need this one. And Brandon Brown is certainly qualified to marry people because I think he has a degree in electrical engineering.
Yes. Civil engineering.
Civil engineering?
Yes.
Oh, and it's a civil marriage.
Civil marriage.
So that he did it. He engineered their marriage. We think it's great, and we wish them the best.
Yes, and now as a couple, they get tax breaks and maybe healthcare breaks.
The
too.
interesting thing is they get tax breaks for all of last year.
Well, David now gets to be on Cindy's healthcare from the university, right?
I guess so. That would be great. Why didn't they think of this sooner?
Now he doesn't have to go on Obamacare.
No, but he gets health care. I guess he was going to go on it. Maybe that's why he did it. So he wouldn't have. He was on the computer for so long. He said, "To heck with it. Let's marry."
Yeah. Now, speaking of healthcare,
are we?
Now that people are signing up for the Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
More and more every day.
And there are millions now.
Right. Now, do you think that'll cut down on visits to the emergency room?
People said that it would.
Because for many poor people, that was the only place they could go to get a broken arm taken care of, or an asthmatic attack.
Actually, broken arm and asthma attacks, really, you can't make an appointment with your doctor, and that's why there are emergency rooms.
Well, not everything's
I broke
an emergency.
my arm. Okay, we can see you next Thursday.
Well, also, if people had a cold or the flu, they'd go to the ER instead of going to see their doctor. And now, the emergency room is the most expensive form of health care that there is.
Because it's the highest level. It's
once you get your bill, you know what I mean. When you go to the emergency room, we even have a picture of the emergency room in action.
We do.
Several of them.
You know why? Because they pay you for the amount of time you wait.
Yeah,
or you pay
forever.
them for the amount of time you wait.
But the Republicans said, well, the ER is poor can always go to the ER for their health care.
And that's what they did. But nobody's paying for it. We're paying for it.
Well,
anybody who pays insurance pays for the ER indirectly.
Well, you don't go to the emergency room if you have cancer, or if you have mental health issues, or if you have the measles.
Can't do that.
The emergency room is not a place for that.
I went to the emergency room this past year because I thought I was having a stroke because my lip was wavering. Mm-hmm. Turned out it was nerves.
And you said, I want a second opinion. They said, you're ugly too.
Yes. But actually the whole ordeal was I actually billed at about $3,000 for that. And luckily the insurance paid for it, but that's where the insurance money goes. It wasn't worth that. I'd say, it should be pay what you want or what you think it's worth.
We have these local clinics around town that you can go to.
Those are urgent care clinics.
Yeah, urgent care clinics. They're a lot cheaper than the emergency room.
Yeah, because the emergency room is the entire hospital, but urgent care comes out pretty expensive.
There's one doctor on duty.
Yeah, but you don't need a doctor. Many of these things can be taken care of by RN.
Yes, or a physician's assistant.
Most of the things. And that would be the cheap way to go. So I think one of the issues that Obamacare, the ACA, has to take care of is making all these things more efficient.
Right.
And
if you need dental care, you don't go to the ER. You go to the dentist.
No, it'd be hard to do that. It'd be hard to do that because I don't think dental problems could be taken care of by the ER.
No.
They don't have drills or anything.
Exactly.
Although you can come over to my house, I have a good pair of pliers. How's your tooth?
Well,
by the way, the one that's not there.
The tooth that was removed?
Yes, and left a big scar in your life.
Yes, it did.
Let's see that.
It did.
Open up your mouth.
I also lost a filling from another tooth, the exact opposite tooth.
You should keep track of these things. Why don't you write down where you put your filling? Where'd you leave it last? Where'd you last see it?
It was in my mouth. It came out in two pieces.
God, that's because you...
I have to get it replaced, but I'm not going to replace it with the silver amalgam mercury fillings anymore. No more mercury is going in my face.
But you don't have to worry about it because what they said that cause was MS. And apparently...
And Parkinson's.
In your 50s, you can't catch MS. usually catch in your 40s.
Well,
So you're
over
you're
the-
okay. But I guess you can still get Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. No, that also, they say that comes from underarm deodorants as well.
Well, they have aluminum dust and they have aluminum pots and pans that leach into the food too. So you should never use aluminum pots and pans.
Don't look at the pan clean.
Now, another.
You want to
thing-
go into something else? Yes, we don't want to talk about
Another
aluminum
thing
stuff.
that we have to deal
keep
with
running.
this year, a brand new.
A good advance. This is perhaps a good thing.
What's
Well,
so
it
good
didn't
about
really
it?
happen in. Are you going to talk about? What are you going to talk about? Legalize marijuana?
New Mexico does have medical marijuana
Yes.
legalized, finally.
And it was legalized for any use whatsoever last year, but it came into effect, of course, the first of the year
In Colorado
in Colorado.
and Washington State.
Was it Washington State?
But Colorado is the state that borders New Mexico, so that's how it affects us.
Yes.
And so you can drive to Colorado and buy marijuana in
Yes.
stores.
Yes, you can. You can't resell it. You can't take it out of the state, obviously. But then again, you can't bring marijuana from Mexico here, but they still do.
No, so are they going to have roadblocks in New Mexico searching people coming from Colorado?
Well, they might.
Profiling people who look
There's-
like they might have pot?
Either that or New Mexico is going to have to make it legal. And if New Mexico makes it legal, then you don't need all those. Well, they're still going to have border patrols and controls for illegal aliens, but not. You know what? Who's going to? People are going to lose money on this because those pot sniffing dogs will no longer have jobs.
That's true. Well, New Mexico was late to the game in medical marijuana.
Yes.
For some reason, they thought it would cause a great problem
Not
of drug
the
abuse.
latest.
We've had medical morphine for years, and that didn't seem to cause a problem. But somehow, medical marijuana would be the scourge of New Mexico. So that's why New Mexico was so late in coming to this, because
I don't
we're behind
know.
the times here.
But I don't know if morphine is necessarily one of those social drugs that you hang out and you go, let's do some morphine
It
pills.
was to some people.
Really? Well,
Heroin comes,
you can make it out of
is
morphine.
where they make morphine from, and opium
Opium.
is where heroin and morphine come from. Is that why we're in Afghanistan fighting the war, so we can have all the opium we need?
Is that why I have a poppy field behind my house? I didn't
You
know
do?
that. I thought it was saffron. My gosh.
No wonder your meals have such a spark to
The
them.
flavor, yes. People love our dinner parties. With
What's your address again?
it'll be underneath there. Who's that guy?
Looks like Tommy John.
It looks like
He's got his marijuana glasses on.
I remember looking like that.
Or it's Jesus, I
I
can't tell.
never had glasses like that, but I did have hair like that for my cousin's wedding. Although not the beard.
Looks like somebody out of the Bible, if you ask me.
Like who? Jesus?
I don't know, it could be Moses, could be Jesus.
Moses had a fluffier beard and he had curly hair, because he was Jewish.
Jesus, I know, it looks very similar. It could be,
Anyway, now that marijuana is legal, not only for discretionary purposes such as helping you with certain diseases, you could use it
Recreational
in
uses.
wonderfully indiscretional ways. And they're going to be making quite a lot of money from marijuana tourism.
sure, people
People
going there
gonna
to
be
use
go-
marijuana.
There's going to be probably
it's-
beds and breakfasts and smoking lounges and
Sure, where they have pot buffets.
people talked about the fact that snowboarders, who I guess like doing marijuana, will be going there to do their skiing and not Utah or whatever other state has it, Vermont,
Washington.
Washington.
Well, used to be politicians would promise a chicken in every pot. Well, now
I can see where you're going.
pot in every kitchen.
Very good. I like how that has a symmetrical rhyme. We're going to have to take a break now, right? Because
time
we
to
have
take a
to have we have to go to Colorado.
And have a toke or two.
That will be a euphemism for getting stoned.
So-
we have to go to Colorado.
So we'll be right back after these words.
Welcome to La Buena Vida Women's Club, located away from the crowds but close to home. Come in throughout the day for Jazzercise, the world's dance fitness leader for nearly 40 years. Treat yourself to a relaxing massage, or unwind in the lounge area or outside on the balcony with friends. La Buena Vida Women's Club, located and designed with women in mind. For information, call Diane 509721.
Hey, you, come here. Do you want to know the news? The Lost Cruises channel is now on 7 days a week. We'll keep it right here.
Celebrate, celebrate, Fiesta Motors.
Come and see us today and discover why our service is second to none. In business for over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, we do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there.
Celebrate, Fiesta Motors, where buying a car is always a celebration.
Discussion. We can still discuss. We were discussing prices of marijuana in Colorado, which, when they opened on the January 1st, I think it was $50 an eighth of an ounce, which would theoretically make it $400 an ounce.
Well, that's for a certain kind. I'm sure there's very
There's different
prices.
kinds. Also, a number of dispensaries were giving half-price coupons, so people were getting it for $200 an ounce. But at the end of the first day, the second day, it was being sold for $70 an eighth of an ounce because supplies were running out. If you look at Doonesbury,
this would be higher quality weed than you would buy off the streets, I guess. I'm guessing. I wouldn't know, of course.
When you say you,
and but I think competition will have to bring the price down at some point. Once the novelty wears off,
it probably will.
Aren't standing in line to get it just to be the first.
People who are going to college in Colorado, they can't afford those prices.
It's true.
And it's not like the old days.
I've been to the university there in Boulder, and
how are you going to tie this one up?
Well, they were already smoking it. This is 10 years ago.
Oh, so that's, yes. Every college has been smoking.
Especially
in fact,
this one.
We just saw the movie about Allen Ginsberg. Pretty much starts in 1943. And what is it, Kill Your Darlings? They're smoking. 1943. They're smoking dope. I don't even think it was illegal then.
Oh, yes, it was.
Was it? Mm-hmm. And cocaine was illegal?
Yeah, well, there was a time when cocaine and pot were legal in this country, but booze was illegal.
Yes, that's true.
When they repealed prohibition and made booze legal, they would have had all these revenuers and federal agents out of a job, so they had to make something else illegal. So they made pot, cocaine, and other things illegal.
So I understand that since pot is now legal, they will have to make something illegal, and I would guess it's going to be lard.
Lard? I wish they would make lard.
Do you think they'll make lard illegal? Oh, we're not getting into that conversation yet, but
we'll get to it.
It'll be good. But illegal lard.
Well, speaking of lardos, did you see where Steve Pierce, our congressman from District 2 here in New Mexico,
yes,
he went to Egypt to meet the troops, and his plane ticket cost over $19,000.
How many people did he bring?
I don't know, but it was a $19,000 trip to Egypt that the taxpayers paid for. And when he was asked to refund that money, he refused.
Well, he's a congressman. They go all over the place.
Well,
I mean,
they must have chartered a first-class flight.
And look, you can't even see everything in Egypt is broken.
I think he went there for some pyramid scheme. But meanwhile,
I would say that's Sphinx.
But realize he just released a book that he wrote.
Oh, God.
Called "Just Fly the Plane, Stupid."
Well, he couldn't have flown the plane.
Just refund your flight,
refund
stupid.
The flight. Yes. Also, Obama's been criticized for going back to Hawaii for a vacation for Christmas.
Yeah.
Whereas George Bush, the most recent one, would merely go back to his little house in Texas, which, was much more modest. Didn't cost as much. I'm sure it cost as much.
George Bush took twice as many vacation days off as Obama.
Oh, he took way more than twice.
More than anybody ever has.
He worked about 4 days a year, and then they got pissed off when he did that. So let's compare. Let's blow up whatever anybody does.
And thanks to Steve Pierce, New Mexico has very dismal job growth the past year.
Well, we don't know if it's his fault, but
he's part of
as a House
Congress.
of Representatives, yes, hasn't done anything to make jobs here. So he had time to go to Egypt. He must have hit Egypt during the snowstorm, maybe.
He probably took the snow.
It was the coldest with him, yes.
Everywhere he goes, global.
So no jobs. It's crazy.
Yeah, job growth is down. You were talking about the Cesar Chavez Toll Road.
Yes,
down
that's
in
the big
southern
thing.
New Mexico, of all places.
Not southern New Mexico, coming from That is that him? I don't even know what
That's
he looks
Cesar
like.
Chavez.
Okay, but no, it goes from the road. You could start on the Trans Mountain Road, and then you could take it and go in a circle around El Paso. It's actually a road that already exists, 375, but they're going to dedicate a couple of lanes to a toll road. But the toll road is only going to be like 40 or 80 cents. Didn't seem sure. The most 80 cents.
No speed limit, right? You can go as fast as you want.
Automatically charged. Well, apparently that 375 must get really crowded. I don't know. It seems a little unlikely, but that is going to start January 8th. You could get in the toll road lanes and speed through, perhaps stop traffic.
So that's in Texas, not New Mexico.
Yes.
El Paso.
Yes, but with us it's pretty much the same except for boundaries.
So I've taken the Trans Mountain
I like the Trans Mountain.
to
It's
all
fun.
the way down to Montana, and the North Loop Road.
Yeah, but if you keep going straight now, goes into 375. Apparently, you can avoid most of Texas. You can avoid all the traffic on I-10.
Yes.
And I guess trucks will be doing it, and people who just, 40, 80 cents, not much.
No.
If you can make a few
times
minutes.
100,000 people a year, that's a lot of money.
Oh, they're not going to get that many. I am dubious
In both directions?
about what happened. Yes, we don't know what's going on with El Paso when they make these decisions because, in fact, they just, they're opening a ballpark there.
Fort Bliss
So
is
what do they
growing.
do?
And
It is.
50,000 new people coming into Fort Bliss. So if those people are using that toll road
Well,
to
that's
get to
true.
work.
And I guess if a lot, you go
Fort
ahead.
Bliss has expanded out there where that road goes. Past the airport.
Yeah.
East of the airport, there's more Fort Bliss.
So if you want to go to the west part of the mountains, that's the way to do it, and get down to the east side, the entire east side of El Paso,
Yeah.
which, as you say, is expanding. But I find it odd that they're calling it the Cesar Chavez Road because he believed that people should be making, more money in the agricultural industry and that people should be treated fair. Yet here they're charging
Well,
for a toll road.
well,
Cesar Chavez.
but they're still honoring the name of Cesar Chavez in some way.
Or as somebody says, Chavez.
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 Now,
Yes.
Another thing we have to
Speaking of
contend
people, Cesar Chavez is the minimum wage.
the minimum wage. Now, people calling for an increase in the minimum wage.
They were calling for a federal minimum wage. It's not going to happen.
Some states have their own minimum wage increases. New Mexico actually has a higher minimum wage than the federal minimum wage.
Yes.
We're at $7.50 an hour here.
And what's
Federal
federal?
is
$7.15.
$7.25.
Woohoo!
Unless you're a restaurant or tavern worker, then your minimum wage is $2.13
So
in New Mexico.
tip your waiters well and waitresses. A number of states last year, at the end of the year, just raised their minimum wage, but only like 15, 25 cents. Some big raises, I think, were in a few eastern states, New York, Connecticut.
Well, certain towns
Massachusetts.
have their own minimum wage. Santa Fe is $10 an hour.
Well, one of the reasons I think it's difficult for the federal government to raise minimum wage is a lot of local incomes are different. They're all different. Houses
Yes.
are way more in California than they are here, way more in New York.
Right. Gasoline costs more in Santa Fe.
Housing is much more expensive in Santa Fe than it is here.
Everything is up there is more expensive.
They were talking about, their goal when they were protesting in front of fast food places throughout the country.
Yeah,
The goal is $15 an hour,
Well-
which would almost give them some money.
The minimum wage now in 2014 dollars is less than it was in Eisenhower's administration. If you compare dollar for dollar spending power.
So it's our mistake for living so much after Eisenhower, and people should have made more money in those days.
People were making more money. The minimum wage was higher
was all
than
relative.
it is now, relatively speaking. Yep.
Yes.
So,
If we raise
should we raise it?
Yeah, sure. I think we definitely should.
To what?
To how much it costs to buy a donut. Dozen donuts.
A dozen lard-filled donuts?
Yes. Oh, we were going to talk about if you're not. We're going to get there. But if your wage is not that much, best thing to do is to become an aide to Nigella Lawson,
Television chef from England.
who is
Nigella
married to
Lawson.
Saatchi, one of the Saatchi people,
Billionaires.
who own advertising, and so rich they have this magnificent art gallery. which is a public art gallery. The two aides took her for the family for $1 million.
She took them to court.
Because they took $1 million.
Let's see
Nigella's
Nigella's
picture. She
picture.
didn't notice it. Yeah, throw Nigella's picture on because she's on a TV show called The Taste, where she's a professional cook and she's a professional. She could be a professional model.
She could.
She's now divorced because of a lot of the things she had to reveal. Nothing there did she reveal, but she revealed
She had a drug
some
habit.
of her drug usage, some of her other habits. Why would that come into play when somebody is taking you for a loop with your credit cards? And why don't you notice $1 million as it seeps through?
Well, I guess they must have such an extravagant lifestyle. It took probably their accountants to notice that all this money was missing.
Yeah, when it's $500,000, it's not that big. You go, oh, we must have added something wrong. But we got to $1 million, they figure it out.
Well, I like Nigella's TV show.
So she is a chef. Here's a picture of her cooking something.
Ooh.
That's a good bowl of pasta, if you ask me.
Abundanza.
Yes.
Yes, and so
that
anyway,
from,
Saatchi
Don
& Saatchi
Quixote?
is their corporation.
Yes, and they have we have a picture of the Saatchi & Saatchi Museum. Great stuff. They also have an office building in downtown Manhattan. We couldn't get a picture of that, but it doesn't really matter. There, the Saatchi Gallery, they have great stuff there. So they have money to spend, apparently, if they can spend $1 million without even knowing it.
Right. So,
Yes.
good luck to her. Now, also this year, we have new restaurants in town, new restaurants coming to town. One of the new restaurants, well, it's not really a restaurant, it's more of a coffee place, chain is Dunkin' Donuts.
People have been looking forward to
They've
that.
come to town. We have 2 Dunkin' Donuts.
You're not too happy with it because you believe, according to what they said, they cook their donuts in lard.
I asked specifically what they cook the donuts in. They
I'm
said
gonna
lard.
back that up.
Yep.
So,
They cook in lard. So if you're
but
vegetarian,
pure lard, but it's pure.
At least it's
pure
pure.
is good.
But if you're vegetarian, you can't eat Dunkin' Donuts.
You could eat their bagels, and you did.
Well, I
didn't
ordered.
you?
I haven't eaten yet. I just
Oh yeah,
got one today to take home. But it does have.
I had them. They're pretty good.
Has feathers in them.
They're pretty good. Well, it's not that they have feathers. It's that they're made with an enzyme made from duck and chicken feathers.
It's
A lot of things we make. Let's keep going. KSNM just changed its format from a daily talk show to a classic country music show. Who did you want us to mention? Why? Because they had apparently 1 viewer per hour.
low listenership.
Low ratings. We do better than them because we have no listeners. We just have viewers.
Yes, we have.
It's a lot easier to see something than to pay attention and listen. If you've listened up till this point, thanks.
So there's big changes going on in local radio.
And we'll be back next week.
Yep. How many
will be
seconds do
there.
we have left?
But none.
0.
We're
Okay.
done.
Well, thanks for joining us this week on Double Talk. We'll see you here next week.
Or you'll see us. We won't see them.
No, we can see.
We can see them.